looking at the nation and the citizen, we can give kudos to our leaders, to our society, because we are getting better when it comes to being formally educated. In being literate, the number is growing. Acquiring Western education, we are faring better. But the problem is this: when you look at it in relation to our economy, it seems as if the more educated we become, the poorer our nation gets. And I'm going to bring out the reason. The reason is not far-fetched. When you look at average Nigerian, when they began the drove towards acquiring formal education, most individuals begin to drop their trades, leaning towards learning one trade or the other. And this also has a lot to do with government policy, the perception of education in Nigeria. The perception is once you are educated, once you have acquired a level of education, maybe a degree, a master, a PhD, you have nothing to do with a trade. This has affected the level of productivity in Nigeria. Now, the bulk of the citizens are well lettered. They have one degree or the other. Yet there's poverty. The reason is leaning towards development of trades, inculcating this attitude, this culture in the citizens will create a wealthier nation than raising well-lettered state citizens who are jobless. The reason is somebody with a trade will by all means find a way of feeding and fending for his family. A well-lettered person, educated, who failed to find a job will find himself in many vicious activities. If that paper, that degree, couldn't fetch him a job, he will have a leaning towards escaping, like we have the drove of people trying to run out of the country. That's one. The second aspect is the turn to become pen robber. When they cannot meet up with their obligation, the next thing is finding a means of stealing. The third thing it does is it makes us lazy. It is very clear that Nigeria is growing poorer. We have to adopt the Western education in its holistic form. Average American have a trade. They learn certain things while growing up. Average Chinese man have a trade. So are the Japanese. And let's look more at the Chinese and the Japanese. There's always something they can do with their hands aside being formally educated. This is why their economy is stable. They are educated formally. They are also educated when it comes to learning one trade or the other. I want to advise our government, if they want to overcome the economic doldrum situation, quagmire that we are in today, they must, as a necessity, bring up policy that will make every citizen who is not a handicap, who is okay mentally, have a trade. Without that, they may not give them room to proceed to a certain level of education. There must be a policy, very urgent one. Trades makes a society to at least attain a level of subsistence, wherein each person can take care of their family. In Africa, we believe when you can feed yourself, house yourself, poverty will have been reduced drastically. Let's start somewhere. But one thing I know is this: a society that fails to develop trades will not prosper for long. We can also check it in history. The Roman Empire was sustained by numbers of tradesmen. Paul, who is known as Paul of Tarsus, who is formerly Saul, we learn about him. He was a lawyer, an erudite, yet he has a trade. He was a tent maker. In seemingly impossible situation, tent making, building will often thrive. So he was making money to take care of himself at certain point. When you have a trade, you cannot be completely useless. Let our government take very seriously this message. And I want us to send this video far and wide. And I also want us to speak to our leader to adopt this very urgently. Thank you.